Well, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me. Is that audible? I'm going to speak in English. Je ne parle pas français. Ich spreche etwas Deutsch. Sorry. So I'm Wolfgang Hall, and I'm going to talk about how to convert strategy into operations via ERP as part of a college class. So a little bit about the course. It's a ERP capstone class that uses Odoo, and it's taught at the University of Redlands in California in the United States. And as part of this, the university teamed up with me as the professor and then the Odoo education team. So we got great support, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and how it actually became successful through the collaboration with Odoo. So first about me a little bit. I'm the least important person in this talk, but I was raised in Germany for 30 years, moved to the United States, loved to play music, and somehow I got involved in Odoo because I have a background in hardware and software development, but also in business. And in 2017, a friend of mine asked me to join his company to help with Odoo implementation, so I became an Odoo consultant. And since then, I've worked with OCA and other organizations, but also right now, you can see I'm wearing a shirt for QOC, which is a gold partner in the United States, and some of the QOC people are here, thank you. So QOC is a great company to collaborate with, and they're also supporting the university teaching of ERP, so just wearing multiple hats. But the most important thing is I wanted to bring the vision to fruition to have Odoo as a tool in business classes, because I felt that it was needed to have a tool that really combines all these different aspects that people go through in business class. And this is the next slide, why ERP matters in education. So business classes are taught in a silo very frequently. We have finance, marketing, we may have supply chain management classes and operations, but when you as a student go through this, at the end you went through all these different classes, but nothing really combined it as an umbrella to really see workflows and transition points from one to the other. And you're all Odoo experts or becoming Odoo experts, so you know that workflows is really what we're trying to replicate in Odoo. And a workflow goes from getting a lead in marketing to sales, to then the operational side, to later the accounting side. And this all needs to be connected, and the students need to learn about it. So we have employers that want to hire very knowledgeable students or graduates, but when graduates come for the first time, they're actually faced with something they have never done before, and that is to really see all these workflows being connected, and the individual siloed knowledge that exists in these different areas need to be brought together, and Odoo is a perfect tool to teach that. So ERP is the backbone for any business processes, and when I say ERP, I know we're expanding this actually into business applications, and I like the term business applications a lot better, but ERP is shorter. So, okay. So one quote that I got from a student was that this class finally connected all the dots between all the business courses. And that was exactly what I was hoping for when I started teaching. So let me go a little bit about the course itself, talk a little bit about the capstone approach. The course goal in a capstone that's the class that people have at the end of their studies, right? So an undergraduate program, at the end they do one project that's supposed to be an umbrella project. So the ERP capstone is about converting strategy into operational execution. And the focus was to move strategy into operations, but also to do process analysis and ERP mapping, and learn a little bit about business modeling and things like SWOT analysis. I'm going to talk about that in a sec. But also do that all hands-on, really building your own company. And my task to the students was, you pick any company you want, and you're going to actually build this out in Odoo. And they were super excited about that. So let me show you. This is getting a little bit into the, for those that are interested into the syllabus, this is more the academic background. And because I'm not a full-time professor, I'm just a part-time professor. I actually had a friend of mine, Johannes Mönius from the university, help me with the syllabus to make sure that it meets academic standards. And so we did build this out. And in my MBA classes, I really liked certain articles a lot, so I brought them into the class because I wanted to make sure that the strategic importance, the academic depth is there when we're talking about a hands-on tool like Odoo. And the challenge that I had was to make sure it's not just a practical class, it really combines the strategy, the academics with the hands-on part. So I had students work on these articles. You can see what it is here. I'm not going through all of these in detail, but what all of these have in common is that they have some hands-on ties, or they can be used to build out hands-on ties into the ERP system. So the key readings, Michael Porter, What is Strategy? Anybody that deals with business probably has heard of Michael Porter, important document. And you can see there's a number of those. I saw Blue Ocean Execution. There's actually a book around the corner in the bookstore about Blue Ocean, so I think I'm not the only one that likes that. So we want to talk about supply chain and customer experience, the whole CRM component. But then the one image that you see on the screen is the scale-up game. Does anybody know the scale-up game? Has anybody used the scale-up game? So it is a pretty simple workflow tool that is kind of fun to use. And I liked it because it's not just slides, it's actually like cards that you can take and look at and flip around. And you know, the emotional connection that you have with having something tangible in your hands is really important. So handing the students a game to let them flip the cards was very important. But then, because we also had some online classes, I had to actually send them a PDF, so they lost a little bit on that. But the game itself was super helpful for me because it gave me a simple way where I didn't have to build out my own ERP system. So if you know the game, in some areas students ran into some challenges. That was interesting. If you want to know more about it, I can talk about this afterwards. So experimental learning with Odoo really includes the tools that I mentioned, which is all the theory that ties into ERP, the game. But then there's a set of tools that Odoo makes available that made my job really easy. So you know the Odoo Education Services, where you have free student instances. Does anybody know about this? Do you know how to use this? Because I have a slide, but as a teacher, I build out my own database, I build out my own ERP system, and I install all the modules that I want to use in the class. And then I publish that for the students to go on, and they can build little copies. And I just told them, okay, use this naming convention so I know whose project it is and what they want to do. So they build out their own instances out of my instance, and then they were able to use that as a playground throughout the class. And later, we did the same when they built out their own companies. So we did this actually in 2 steps. First, we did the ERP database that I put together, and then they replicated it first, and the second step was to build their own company based on the experience that they gained throughout the class. So we divided this into weekly subjects: sales, finance, and we went through I think it was 8 weeks of different subjects that they went through in detail. But then also the last project was I think it was over 3 weeks. So while they were going along with individual subjects, they had to build out their own company on top of that too. And you can see the quotes. I'm excited by this because what you see is really representative. By the end of the course, I felt like I was running a real company. So that is pretty awesome if you think about it. The students for the first time actually had this vision that I wanted to portray, realized to really run their own organization. So I couldn't have gone better. I was very excited. So I mentioned the Odoo scale-up game, and the workflow cards that we used were procure to pay, order to cash, manufacturing, CRM, marketing, e-commerce, but then also helping the students to build this confidence that they know and have good descriptions in how to maybe proceed when they get stuck because there's an answer on the other side of the card. That was really one of the key things. So it made it, for them it made it understandable and fun, and for me it made my teaching job a lot easier. This is an eye chart, so if you don't have perfect vision, you will not be able to read this. So I cannot read it, but it was not the purpose. This is what we did as a whiteboard session. I went and said everybody should create a vision, a mission statement, and objectives. And this was the starting point for strategic planning to come up with their company. And out of this, we built then a SWOT analysis to look at the strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And you can see the cards that individual people put below. This is their own assessment of their companies and what they wanted to do. And then we build out a business plan based on that. The business plan is, business plans can be 30 pages long. Nobody reads them. Business plan needs to be short. And a good business plan should be 2, maximal 4 pages in my opinion. So I had them build out business plans where they create a business plan for their own company, but include at a minimum CRM, sales, purchasing, inventory, and accounting. And if they wanted to, they could add manufacturing, field services, and other things on top of that. So there was flexibility, and I wanted to make sure that they really get to do a pet project, that something they are invested into, something that excites them. So this is the tool that Odoo makes available. You can see on top, the top line is what I created. And then when I click Share Course, anybody else can just go on and use the link to create their own databases. And the best thing is it's all free for students, for teachers. There's no real financial background needed or grant money. Odoo is giving that out to support the community. And I really appreciate that as a teacher, because I also checked with SAP and I checked with other organizations, and it was very hard to get tools. And SAP actually was super unresponsive. It was frustrating. What I experienced here was the way it should be, and I thank the education team very much for actually making that possible. So more student feedback, because this is real quotes, is that they got the hand-on experience and they could basically use it on their resumes. And that was the idea, that they can take this and say, yeah, I know ERP, hire me. Or people that never really saw finance and other things integrated. I mean, who here loves accounting? Whoa. Okay, 2 out of, I don't know, 30, 40 people. That's about the percentage that I expected. I love accounting, actually. But the reason I love accounting is because it's the glue that holds everything together. And in order to understand that, you have to be exposed to the beauty of accounting and not just moving money from one register to the other. That's really the boring part. My opinion. Yeah, you can see the quotes. I think this, just the experience from this one class was enough to say we have an annual curriculum. We're going to repeat this year after year, and we're going to expand this. And the big challenge that I had also is the last one here on the slide. Consider to actually create a textbook that uses Odoo and all the academics combined into a textbook that any university, any teacher can use. So I'm working on that, but not very, let's say, I don't have a tight deadline. So if there are other collaborators that want to jump in, please let me know. Sometimes it helps to get a team together to get things done and hold each other accountable. Otherwise, it may be ready in 2 years or so. But it's coming. So other lessons were that it is the bridge between theory and practice. And it is this cross-functional aspect that makes it really valuable for the students and also their careers. I mean, having this on the resume is awesome. On top of that, we had the right tools and the right support to use the tools. And it was, in the end, it was fun. And you all know that if you have fun doing something, you usually do it well and you remember what you did because it was fun. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I maybe should say also that even though it's technology and software, it's really not just software, it's not just technology. It's a way of thinking to fundamentalize business processes in something tangible. And that is this way of thinking workflows and making it real is, I think, a great way to learn. It's a great way to run a business. It's a great way to be successful. So my invitation to educators is, how does it fit into your curriculum? Have you thought about putting it in there, building out business classes? I would be excited to see next year that 50 more universities have embraced this and put out business classes. Or maybe it's high schools, technical schools, whatever it is. That would be pretty awesome. So my contact is below. Now I have some time for questions. The question, if I understand that right, is, so there's the discussion, are we going to teach this in the first year or are we going to teach this in the last year? What's the best point in time? My experience is only this, to use it at the end. I have not done it in the beginning. My thinking is that it would be more beneficial to have it in the end when you already understand the concepts of these silo areas. I think to have some fundamental understanding of finance or operations, marketing is a good thing, so that this becomes an umbrella part. But we're talking about undergraduate. For graduate classes, I think it needs to get there in the beginning. So we're working on a new graduate program right now, and we're going to put this right in the beginning. But that's also because we have a graduate program where we want students to work in real companies and make money and offset their offset their cost. America is expensive, student fees, so we want them to make as much money in these companies to basically pay for their own tuition. That's the concept that we're developing right now. Other questions? Yeah. So thank you for raising that question. The question is, how do we grade something like this? Everybody has access to ChatGPT, and it's easy to find answers online. Actually, this class was designed to use ChatGPT and AI. I personally believe that we need to embrace the fact that everybody will use AI in the future. So we need to prepare students to use ChatGPT, but still have critical thinking. So the grading was done through multiple choice, through the reviewing the actual projects that they did. On the project side, AI is not very helpful. They had to go through their own thing. On the questionnaire, it's not easy in a timed test to quickly find the right answers, because I actually used I used ChatGPT to create my questions. So I use ChatGPT too. Why not, right? Because it's not so easy to come up with questions that are close enough to the truth that you have to select the best one possible. It takes a long time. And I had help with some history of test creation that ChatGPT just did for me. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Other questions? Go ahead. Yeah, so the question is, if you want to build out a curriculum like this, how do you convince the faculty, whoever makes the decision, that this is a class worthy to teach? So it's many different ways to do that, but they probably all play a role. The first one is you have to create a compelling case why using ERP is important for a business school, business class. And I actually had to prepare that myself. And I used ChatGPT and other sources because there's so much research that you can grab real quickly. And then I organized it myself and emphasized certain points. So if you want to, I can share some of those write-ups. But it wasn't so difficult in the end. Everybody quickly jumped on the vision, but then the question was, would the students actually take it? And once you put the point, it's a little bit of a marketing thing, right? So you need to tell the students, this is going to be the greatest thing for your resume. This is going to be the greatest thing to understand business. And that brought the students on board. And I think if you just think about your daily work with Odoo, you just know it makes sense, and people will react to things that make sense. I hope this will be the same in your faculty, but put a compelling case together, and then use some empirical data too that basically looks at the results. Out of my students, 99% rated this as one of the best classes they had attended. Not because of me, but because of Odoo or ERP. Yeah. So what Carrie mentioned is not so much of a question, more a statement that she was able to talk to the teachers at the high school and representing herself as an employer, saying that these are the kind of students that I want to hire. And so Carrie is managing partner of a large Odoo integrator, so she knows what she needs. And the high school just said yes, right? So they said, yeah, bring it on. We need the help. Okay, great. Well, let's see where we are on time. Oh, right on. So last question, if you have it, go ahead. Yes. So your question is, you have visually impaired students. How can this be used for visually impaired students? I have the sinking feeling that we haven't done enough to prepare for visually impaired students. Odoo may have something that they use that I'm not aware of, but if you go in most systems like this, they are very bad for helping those that have visual needs. And I haven't thought about that, but I will give it some thought, because all the typical tools are available, the accessibility tools that you have already on the PC. So I would leverage those. And for the class, a lot of it is visual. You explain things, you move the mouse, and you don't expect people not to see. I did not. And so very, very good question, and it shows where we have huge gaps, and I feel bad about it. But thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, I don't think there's a good solution unless somebody else knows about it. Okay, well, yes, we have to work on this. Okay, that was it. Thank you so much for your attention.